So here on page 616 or in rather 11.2, we start looking at the layout of a structure. So here we are going to, for much of the chapter, we're going to follow a payroll example. I actually think that payroll makes a lot of sense because for those of us who have ever received a paycheck, we kind of understand some of the different data types that really go into making a paycheck, right? You would have a last name, you would have a first name, you would have an employee ID, you would have a rate of pay or a salary, you would have deductions, you would have all of those things. But we understand that as an employee, all of those different attributes refer back to me, right? To you as an employee. So here we'll look at what we need to create a structure, and really all we need is right here on page 616. The tag that we're looking at is struct, S-T-R-U-C-T. We do not need to have any special includes here. I am flipping around because, there we go, it's not cooperating. We do not have to have any includes. Creating a structure is part of the default C++ standard library. So you can see right there all lowercase struct for structure, just in the same way that int for integer, it's a foreshortened version. One of the things to take notice of here is when you are creating a structure, in comparison to the way that you would name a cardinal data type, is we signify a structure with a capital instead of a lowercase letter. It is an instant visual clue to the next developer in the chain that, oh, wait a second, I am not working with a string or, something like an array, something that is baked into the pudding for C++. A structure means I need to, as the next developer in the chain, understand what it is that you, the previous developer in the chain, decided this structure was going to be. So like you see there with a capital P for payroll, that is the correct way to do it. And what you see inside of the structure then is our different data members. So int employee number is, that pencil is wicked dead. That is part of the structure for payroll. We've got a string for name. That makes sense. My suggestion to you, just as a point of reference in good data, is never just have a string for name. Always, always, always include last name, first name, because there's more than one way to enter your name into a system, and that will reduce errors on the other side. We have a double for hours because you don't have to work whole numbers. A double for pay rate because you'd better pay me all of the money that I have earned. And a double for gross pay. You can see what's happening there. One thing additionally here to make note, and my pencil just died so I cannot highlight it for you, but you can see, yeah, I cannot make that any bigger either. After the opening and closing brace defining the structure, we do have the semicolon there. That is going to be one of the things that if you do not pay particular attention to that, your first developments are all going to fail, because you are going to see what I think is one of the more cryptic error messages in C++. So do take note there. The other thing to take note of, it says in this text we begin names of structure tags with an uppercase. That is not just in this text, that is an industry standard. And if you work for a place that uses structures or uses objects that do not capitalize them, think about all the other weirdnesses that they embrace, because certainly that is not normal. The other thing of note here in 11.2, which spans all the way to 617, is just like in all of our previous developments, if you have a host of variables that you wish to declare that are of the same type, you can comma separate them. You can also comma separate them and assign them in the same statement. So that is possible here. So the way we would instantiate, we would create we would create a structure of the payroll class, as you can see right there. And again, this is 617. We have payroll, and then we have a department head. Now, can you have multiple payroll structure? I'm going to keep referring to them as objects, but really we're not referring to them as objects here. Can we have multiple structures that have different names? Yeah, absolutely. So what we have here in figure 11.2 or dash rather 2 is we've got a department head structure, we've got a foreman structure, and an associate, all of the payroll structure. And you'll notice that they all have the same data members: an employee name, employee number, hours, pay rate, and gross pay. This is one of those things that we are going to work to refine as we continue here, not just through this chapter, but through the text. So I understand that there's little you can do with that comment at this time. Just think about what might we be able to do, or how might we get even more abstract as we look at, well, a payroll structure might be something that has different meaning, because is a foreman and an associate going to have all of the exact same considerations in it? For now, it does, the way we have our structures set up. But maybe, and absolutely, down the road we'll have to be able to change that. So the struct, struct keyword, is the new wrinkle here. And along with that goes, do not forget after the closing brace to include the semicolon. Otherwise, unhappy when you compile.